On a cold winter evening when the city's glass towers glowed like distant constellations, a struggling single father named Ethan Hale pushed open the revolving doors of a grand corporate gala he had no business attending. His only reason for being there, the upright piano positioned near the marble staircase and the handwritten note from the event coordinator that promised a modest payment if he could fill the room with soft background music, because rent was due. His daughter Lily needed new asthma medication, and the world had taught him that dignity sometimes meant swallowing pride and playing quietly while powerful people laughed and drank champagne. So he sat at the piano with worn fingers and a heart full of memories, unaware that on the top floor of that very building stood the woman who had once written music with him beneath a flickering dorm room lamp, the woman whose name still echoed in his chest like a chord that never resolved, Claire Montgomery, now the ICECOM CEO of Montgomery Dynamics, a woman known for billion-dollar acquisitions and merciless negotiations, a woman who had learned to armor herself with ambition after love broke her, and as Ethan tested the keys he chose not the safe instrumental pieces from his repertoire but a melody he had not played in years, a melody born from youth and hope and handwritten notes passed between music theory classes, a melody he and Claire had composed together when they believed talent and love could conquer anything, a song that had no title because they said some things didn't need names to be real, and the moment his fingers pressed the opening progression the air in the room subtly changed, conversations lowering as the melody unfolded like a confession, warm and aching, familiar and impossible, weaving through crystal chandeliers and expensive laughter until, 3 floors above, Claire froze mid-sentence while addressing her board, her voice cutting off as if the past itself had reached through the polished walls to touch her shoulder, because she knew that melody, she knew every pause and rise, every breath between notes, and her mind flew back to a rain-soaked night years ago when she and Ethan had played it for the first time, dreaming aloud about concert halls and shared futures before life tore them apart with misunderstandings, poverty, and the ruthless gravity of different paths. And while her board members exchanged confused glances, she excused herself without explanation, heels striking the floor faster with every step as the song pulled her downward, memory by memory, until she stood at the edge of the gala floor and saw him there, older, broader, carrying quiet exhaustion in his shoulders, playing with the same intensity that once made her believe in magic, and for the first time in years the unshakable CEO felt tears threaten the composure she had built like a fortress, because the men she had loved had vanished without explanation all those years ago, leaving behind only silence and unanswered letters she assumed were lies, yet here he was, playing their song as if time had merely paused, and as the final note trembled into the air the room erupted into applause that Ethan barely registered because he sensed her before he saw her, that familiar gravity drawing his eyes upward to meet hers across the crowd, shock flashing between them like lightning, the applause fading into a distant roar as decades of unsaid words pressed against their chests, and when Claire finally approached, the room holding its breath, she asked in a voice steadier than her heart, "How do you know that song?" And Ethan stood slowly, the weight of years in his breath as he replied softly that some songs never leave you, that life might force you to survive but it cannot erase who you were when you believed in love, and in that fragile space the truth spilled out, not all at once but in trembling fragments, how he had never received her letters. Because his address changed when his mother fell ill, how he left school to work 3 jobs, how he searched for her only to learn she had moved overseas, how he married briefly, lost his wife to illness, and raised Lily alone with music as their lifeline, and Claire listened as the past rearranged itself into a painful clarity, realizing the silence she blamed on betrayal had been nothing more than circumstance, and something inside her finally broke, the polished CEO kneeling to Lily's height. When the little girl shyly approached, recognizing the melody she fell asleep to every night, and in that moment Claire understood that the song had survived not as nostalgia but as inheritance, as love passed forward, and the gala guests watched in stunned silence as the most powerful woman in the room made a decision not driven by profit but by truth, offering Ethan not charity but opportunity, a chance to compose again, to play on real stages, to give Lily security without stripping him of pride. Yet Ethan hesitated because wounds teach caution, until Claire placed a hand over his and said she didn't want to rewrite the past, only to honor it by choosing differently now, and as the night ended not with contracts but with a quiet promise, the camera of fate pulling back to show 2 lives reconnecting through a song that refused to die, reminding everyone watching that destiny sometimes waits patiently for courage to catch up. And if this story moved you, if you believe that love sacrifice, and second chances still matter in a world obsessed with power, then don't let this be just another video you forget. Subscribe to the channel, because stories like this don't just entertain, they remind us who we are, and the next melody might change your life too.